I wanted to give a quick demonstration of how we can use Recast Application Workspace to deliver our applications using a web interface, whether that be an internet page or an intranet page, and also with a Microsoft Teams integration. You can see here that we're utilizing single sign-on to authenticate using our Azure tenant, and we've integrated the Recast Application Workspace into our publicly facing website, where we can now launch, for example, WinSCP, and any other application that we have published. If I head over to our Teams instance as well, you can see that we've now got an application workspace Teams application there, whereby we can also launch applications with a single click. Application Workspace supports instant delivery. So if I go and add another entitlement, such as our Azure Alkane Admins group, and I save that, then straight away, if I head back to our internet page and refresh it, you can see that Notepad++ appears, and I can launch that straight away. If I head over to Teams, just to demonstrate that as well, if I refresh that, I can see that my application list is updated, and I can click Notepad there, and you'll see that it also launches straight away. Now, to configure all this, it's quite, I wouldn't say self-explanatory, but it's really well documented over on the Recast website. We'll need to register an application in Azure, which we'll use to authenticate requests from our web and Teams applications. We'll specify a redirect URI so that authentication requests know where to pass the token back to our Recast workspace. We'll create a client secret so that our web and Teams implementations can securely authenticate with Azure when requesting tokens. We'll also grant Microsoft Graph permissions to read user and directory data so we can synchronize users and groups in our Recast workspace. And we'll grant user impersonation permissions to our Recast application to allow Azure to issue exchange tokens. We'll also grant admin consent for each of these permissions. And finally, by exposing the API for admins and users, we'll enable end users to grant consent for themselves to use our web and Teams applications. If I head over to Recast, we can set up a new identity source. You can see that by default, you get local, which is basically using forms-based authentication, which will authenticate with the username and password with your Recast cloud. You can also integrate with your on-premise Active Directory instance using LDAP, but in our example we're actually authenticating using Microsoft Entra ID. If I head into there, you can see the overview is pretty self-explanatory. If we look in the settings, this is the application ID of our app registration in the background. This is our client secret that we set up as well under certificates and secrets. The OAuth 2 URLs here, if you just click fetch, you can just put in the GUID for your Azure tenant and click confirm, and then it will populate all of these URIs underneath. Just click save once you've done that. If you head over to Microsoft Teams and click set up the Microsoft Teams app, you'll have to approve the permissions for this integration. You'll also download a zip file which you can then upload to the Microsoft Teams admin portal and create and then deploy your application. Again, this is really well documented. If we head into authentication, you see that we've still got forms authentication enabled in our lab here. You've got token exchange as well that you need enabled. If you look in token exchange, you will need to populate this with the GUID for your application ID. It does say URI there, but it's not. That actually didn't work for me, so I just specified the application ID, the GUID itself. And then federated, there's nothing to do in here. It uses OAuth 2. You just need to enable that so that you can enable single sign-on authentication using your web implementation. You will also need to go to Manage again. I think head down to Security Settings under Portal. You'll need to look under Content Security Policy. You'll need to add this Recast URL. And of course, because we've embedded ours in our publicly facing internet page, Alkane Solutions, we've also added that. And you'll need to do exactly the same for the cross-origin resource sharing too. And once you've done that, you're pretty much ready to go. You will need to obviously write your own portal. We've just embedded some news here from the register. If we wanted to remove Notepad, for example, I'll show you again how instant application delivery and removal is. If we head into the application that we provisioned earlier on, head over to entitlements, remove that group, literally head back to our portal, fetch, you'll see that Notepad's gone, head into Teams, click refresh, you'll also see that Notepad's vanished. And that's how simple it is. If you need assistance integrating Recast Application Workspace, or you need help migrating your applications to a new platform such as this, please reach out.